Now, there were 2 assassination attempts before Dallas, correct? There were Chicago and Tampa.
Your city.
The city we're in right now, exactly. Can you explain what happened in Chicago first?
All right. I actually just did a column on this for Consortium News, okay, about the whole Secret Service thing. In late October, early November, there was information that came into the FBI that there would be an assassination attempt on Kennedy in Chicago. All right. And what's so very odd about this is the code name to one of the informants was Lee. Was that Oswald? We don't know. Okay. The other information came in from a landlady who was renting these apartments to these guys who looked to her like they were Cubans, all right, and they had some rifles in there where they were staying, plus a map of the motorcade that Kennedy was going to take. So the FBI gets this information. They give it to the Secret Service. The Secret Service picks up, I think, 3 people. 2 of the shooters and a guy named Arthur Valet, whom most people believe was supposed to be the fall guy, okay, because he worked on a building where the motorcade was passing by, I think on the 3rd or 4th floor, okay, and he had a lot of resemblances to Oswald, okay, and they thought he was going to be the stooge for this assassination attempt, all right. They never got any more information out of these people. But a guy named Abraham Bolden, who worked out of the Secret Service office in Chicago, knew about it. And he also knew there had been a cover-up of this attempt. Kennedy didn't go to Chicago that day. All right, he said that because of the overthrow of the Diem government in Saigon, that was the official story. But most people think that he didn't go because of this assassination that he heard about to the Secret Service. And so he doesn't go. And there's a cover-up about this within the Secret Service. There were not written reports. There were only oral reports. The documents were all sequestered, okay? And they were not in the central files. This ends up being a very serious mistake because the attempt in Chicago had so many similarities to what happened in Dallas, okay, that a lot of people believe that if that information would have been forthcoming, the Dallas might have been prevented. Okay, for example, you've got a guy who resembles Oswald, this former Marine.
Valet?
Yeah, okay, who had been a trainer. Okay, and many people think Oswald had been in one of the training camps in New Orleans. All right. And
you're speaking about the people that were training the Cubans.
Right. That has to be CIA. Because that's, yeah. All right. And you had this tall building that the motorcade was going to go by right off this freeway exit ramp. All right. And so the modus operandi looks a lot like Dallas. All right. And so if you would have been alerted to this, you might have been able to prevent what happened. Now, in Tampa, there was a guy named Gilberto Lopez, who was a former Cuban, came to this country, was part of the Fair Play for Cuba Committee. All right. After the assassination, he goes to Texas. Then he goes to Mexico City, and he ends up being the only passenger on a Cubana flight to Havana. Okay. That day, that particular, which I believe was the 18th. All right. This time, Kennedy was not going to back out. He came to Tampa. Okay. It was the longest motorcade, I think 17 miles. And it went by the Floridian Hotel, which I believe at that time was one of the tallest, if not the tallest building in Tampa. All right. This time, because of Chicago, right, there was all kinds of security. I mean, it was every place. Vince Palomera, who's an expert on the Secret Service, said if you combine all of the agents from different law enforcement groups, whether it be Secret Service, whether it be local police, whether it be state police, there were literally dozens of people crawling on every floor of that Floridian hotel. All right. And so if this was really a planned assassination, it was this that stopped it. Kennedy was so grateful for this that he insisted on staying after. And he wanted to congratulate every single person, okay, at that Floridian hotel that day personally. And he did, as Vince talked to one of the guys he did this with. All right. So, yes, there were at least 2 attempts to kill Kennedy in just November of that year before the actual murder took place in Dallas. Very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, because I think the obvious implication, Kennedy wasn't getting out of 1963 alive. Okay, one way or another, come hell or high water.
Right.
You know, they were going to get him. You know.